I heard the wine glass shatter before I heard my mother say it. Mary doesn't belong at this table anymore. I was standing in the doorway of our family dining room in Nashville, Tennessee, holding a store-bought pecan pie because I couldn't afford to make one from scratch that year. My sister Victoria sat at the head of the table where I used to sit. My brother James had his arm around his new wife. And my father just looked down at his plate. The glass had slipped from Victoria's hand. Red wine spread across the white tablecloth like a wound. But nobody moved to clean it. They were all staring at me. That's when I knew. This wasn't just another family dinner gone wrong. This was an execution. Let me take you back 6 months before that moment, back to when I was still welcome in my own family. I'd always been the quiet one. The responsible one. While Victoria spent Dad's money on boutique shopping trips and James bounced from one failed startup to another, I worked 2 jobs to put myself through business school at Vanderbilt. I graduated with honors. I didn't ask my parents for a dime. But here's what nobody tells you about being the responsible child: your family starts to expect it. They start to assume you'll always be fine. That you don't need help. That you don't need love. When I landed my first real job at a tech consulting firm in downtown Nashville, making $48,000 a year, my mother's response was, "That's nice, dear." Victoria just got engaged to a cardiologist. When I bought my first car, a used Honda Civic I saved up for over 2 years, my father said, "Good for you." James just got into an accelerator program for his app idea. I was 26 years old, and I was invisible. If this story sounds familiar, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. You're not alone. Everything changed the day my father called me into his study. It was March. Spring was just breaking through in Tennessee, and the dogwoods were blooming outside his window. He sat behind his massive oak desk, the one his father had given him, and folded his hands. "Mary," he said, "I need to ask you something." I should have known right then. My father never asked me for anything. He told Victoria what to do. He bailed James out. But me? I was the one who had it together. "I need a loan," he said. $50,000. I almost laughed. I was making less than $50,000 a year. I had maybe $12,000 in savings. "Dad, I don't have that kind of money." His face hardened. "You're working. You're single. No kids. You have resources. I have student loans. I have rent. Your brother needs this money for his business. It's a family investment." And there it was. The truth underneath the ask. This wasn't about me helping my father. This was about me funding James. Again. "I can't," I said. He stood up. "Then I think we understand each other." I left his study that day knowing something had broken. But I didn't realize how bad it would get. Little comments at family brunches. "Mary's gotten so focused on money lately. She's changed since she got that corporate job. I guess some people forget where they came from." Then James joined in. At my mother's birthday dinner, he made a toast about family loyalty and how some people know what it means and others don't. Everyone looked at me. I tried to defend myself. I tried to explain that I didn't have $50,000 just lying around. But every time I spoke, my mother would change the subject or Victoria would interrupt with some story about her wedding plans. By summer, I wasn't being invited to things anymore. First it was small, a cousin's graduation party I found out about on Facebook. Then it was bigger. Victoria's engagement party. James's app launch event. My mother's charity gala where I'd volunteered for 5 years straight. Nobody said I was banned. They just stopped sending invitations. If you've ever been iced out by your own family, hit that like button. This one's for us. I threw myself into work. My boss, a woman named Patricia Chin who'd built her career from nothing, noticed I was staying late every night. One evening in August, she sat down at my desk. "You trying to outrun something?" she asked. I almost lied. But something about her voice, calm, knowing, made me tell the truth. I told her everything. The loan. The silence. The erasure. Patricia listened. Then she said something I'll never forget. Family is supposed to be your foundation. But when they become your cage, you have to build your own door. 2 weeks later, she offered me a promotion. Junior partner. Equity stake. 65,000 salary with performance bonuses. But there was more. Patricia was launching a new division, AI-driven logistics consulting for mid-sized companies. She wanted me to lead it. "You have 6 months to prove the concept," she said. "If it works, you'll own 20% of the division." I took the job. I didn't tell my family. What was the point? October came and went. I didn't hear from anyone except a single text from my mother. "We're doing Thanksgiving at Victoria's new house. I assume you're busy." Not an invitation. An assumption. I typed out 10 different responses. "I'm not busy. I'd love to come. I'm still your daughter." I sent none of them. Instead, I spent Thanksgiving in my apartment with Thai takeout and a spreadsheet. The AI logistics division was exploding. We'd signed 6 clients in 3 months. Revenue projections were doubling every quarter. Patricia was talking about spinning it off into its own company by year's end. I was building something. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need my family's approval to feel like I mattered. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. The text came on December 20th. It was from James, family New Year's Eve at the house. Victoria's bringing champagne. Mom's doing her famous prime rib. Dad wants everyone there to talk about the future. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Everyone. Did that include me? I texted back, "What time should I come?" 3 hours later, Victoria responded in the family group chat I didn't know existed, "Mary, this is really just for immediate family. You've made it clear you're not interested in being part of this anymore." My hands were shaking. I typed, "I never said that. I'm your sister." My mother's response came fast, "Let's not make this dramatic, Mary. You've chosen your path. We're respecting that." James added, "Yeah, you didn't help when we needed you. Don't expect us to pretend everything's fine now." And my father sent a private text just to me, "You made your choice when you refused to help your brother. Actions have consequences." I sat on my apartment floor and cried for the first time in months. Not because I was sad. Because I was done. Comment below if you've ever been blamed for setting a boundary. I need to know I'm not crazy. December 28th. 3 days before New Year's Eve. Patricia called me into her office at 7 p.m. The city lights of Nashville glittered through her window. "Sit down," she said. "I have news." A private equity firm had approached her about acquiring our AI logistics division. They'd been watching our growth. They wanted to scale it nationally. The offer was substantial. How substantial? I asked. $42 million, Patricia said. Your 20% stake is worth $8.4 million. After taxes, you're looking at around $5 million in cash. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of her desk. There's more, she continued. They want you to stay on as CEO of the new entity. Salary, stock options, the works. If you can grow this into a $100 million company in 3 years, your total net worth will cross $1 billion with the stock vesting schedule. I couldn't breathe. Are you serious? Sign the papers, Patricia said. And Mary? Don't tell anyone until the deal closes. Money makes people do ugly things. The deal closed on December 30th at 11:47 a.m. By noon, I had $5.2 million in my bank account. By 1 p.m., I was the CEO of Titan Logix AI. By 2 p.m., I was sitting in my apartment staring at my phone, wondering if I should tell my family. Then I remembered Victoria's text. You've made it clear you're not interested in being part of this anymore. I put my phone down. They'd find out soon enough. New Year's Eve arrived cold and bright. I spent the morning meeting with my new executive team. We had champagne in the conference room, not to celebrate the holiday, but to celebrate the future we were building. Patricia gave a toast about second chances and self-made families. I thought about my real family gathered at my parents' house. I pictured Victoria showing off her engagement ring. James pitching his latest app idea. My mother fussing over the table settings. My father carving the prime rib like a king distributing favors. I pictured the empty chair where I used to sit. And you know what? For the first time, it didn't hurt. Because I wasn't sitting in that chair anymore. I was sitting at the head of my own table. Around 8 p.m., I decided to do something crazy. I got dressed, black silk dress, the good heels, my grandmother's pearl earrings, and I drove to my parents' house. Not to beg for entry. Not to apologize. But to drop off the pie I'd baked that morning. Old habits die hard, I guess. I pulled up to the circular driveway. Every light in the house was on. I could hear music and laughter through the windows. I walked up to the front door with my pie and rang the bell. My father answered. He was wearing his Christmas sweater. His face went blank when he saw me. Mary, he said. What are you doing here? I brought pie, I said, holding it up. I know I'm not invited, but I thought. This isn't a good time. Behind him, I saw my mother appear. Then Victoria. Then James. They all stood in the doorway like a wall. Mary doesn't belong at this table anymore, my mother said. That's when Victoria's wine glass slipped from her hand. I stood there on the porch, holding a pecan pie, while my family stared at me like I was a stranger. I just wanted to bring this by, I said quietly. I'm not here to cause trouble. James laughed. Trouble? You didn't even help Dad when he asked. You abandoned us. Something in me snapped. Not into anger. Into clarity. Dad didn't need my help, I said. He wanted me to give $50,000. I didn't have to fund your failing business. I was making $48,000 a year, James. I had student loans. But sure, I'm the villain for not destroying my own life to save yours. Victoria stepped forward. You've always been selfish, Mary. Always put yourself first. I looked at her, really looked at her. Designer dress. Diamond earrings. The kind of life funded by our father's money and her rich fiancé. Have I? I asked. When did I put myself first, Victoria? When I worked 2 jobs through college so I wouldn't burden mom and dad? When I skipped family vacations because I couldn't afford them? When I showed up to every single event, every birthday, every holiday, even when I was exhausted? When exactly was I selfish? My father held up his hand. Enough. Mary, you're not welcome here tonight. You've made your position clear. No, I said. You've made your position clear. You erased me because I wouldn't bankrupt myself for James. You iced me out because I had the audacity to build my own life. You want to know the truth? I didn't abandon you. You abandoned me the second I stopped being useful. I set the pie down on the porch railing. I came here tonight to tell you something, I said. 3 days ago, I sold my stake in a company I helped build. I'm now the CEO of a national AI firm. And as of yesterday, I'm worth $5.2 million in liquid assets. By this time next year, if projections hold, I'll be worth over $50 million. In 3 years, I'll cross $1 billion. The silence was deafening. My mother's face went pale. Victoria's mouth fell open. James took a step back like I'd slapped him. My father just stared. You're lying, James finally said. I pulled out my phone. I showed them a screenshot of my bank statement. Then a photo from the acquisition announcement press release. Then the email from the equity firm congratulating me on the deal. My father reached for the phone, but I pulled it back. I didn't come here for your approval, I said. I came here because even after everything, I still thought maybe you'd care. Maybe you'd be happy for me. But I can see now that the only time I mattered to this family was when you needed something from me. If this moment hit you in the chest, go ahead and subscribe. Stories like this need to be heard. My mother found her voice first. Mary, sweetheart, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No, I said. There hasn't. You've been perfectly clear for 9 months. I'm not part of this family unless I'm funding it. Well, congratulations. You finally got what you wanted. I'm out. Victoria tried next. Mary, we didn't know. You didn't know what? That I was capable of building something without your help? That I could succeed without Dad's connections or your approval? You assumed I'd always be the responsible, quiet one in the corner. The one who didn't need attention or love because she was fine on her own. My voice cracked. But I wasn't fine. I needed you. I needed my family. And you couldn't be bothered to send me a single invitation unless I was writing a check. James finally spoke. So what, you're rich now and you came here to rub it in our faces. No, I said. I came here to give you a pie. I came here because despite everything, I still loved you. But I can see now that love isn't enough when it only goes one direction. I turned to leave. My father's voice stopped me. Mary, wait. I looked back. He was standing on the threshold, his face older than I remembered. I made a mistake, he said quietly. I thought you didn't need us. You were always so capable, so independent. I thought asking you for money was a compliment, proof that I trusted you. I didn't realize I was asking you to choose between your own future and your brother's. No, I said. You didn't ask me to choose. You punished me for choosing myself. He nodded slowly. You're right. My mother started crying. Not delicate tears, real, ugly sobs. We were horrible to you, she said. I was horrible. I let Victoria and James say those things. I let your father shut you out. I told myself you were fine because it was easier than admitting we failed you. Victoria sank down onto the porch steps. I was jealous, she whispered. You never needed anyone. You never asked for help. And I hated that about you because I need everyone. I need Dad's money and Mom's approval and everyone's attention, and you just existed without any of it. James didn't say anything. He just stood there, staring at his shoes. I could have walked away right then. I could have left them with their guilt and their regret and never looked back. But here's the thing about revenge, it's only satisfying if it changes something. If it teaches something. And I realized standing there that I didn't want revenge. I wanted them to understand what they'd cost me. Not money. Not success. Time. I spent 9 months thinking I wasn't good enough, I said. I spent 9 months wondering what I'd done wrong. I spent Thanksgiving alone in my apartment crying into Thai food because my own mother assumed I was too busy to come home. Do you have any idea what that does to a person? My father stepped out onto the porch. Mary, I can't undo what we did. But I can tell you that you are my daughter. You've always been my daughter. And I'm sorry it took you becoming a millionaire for me to remember that. I didn't become a millionaire so you'd love me, I said. I became a millionaire because I needed to prove to myself that I mattered. That I wasn't invisible. That my work and my dreams were real, even if you couldn't see them. Drop a comment if you've ever had to succeed just to prove you were worth noticing. This one's for everyone who was underestimated. I could have walked away. I could have left them standing on that porch, drowning in their guilt. But I didn't. Because here's what nobody tells you about family betrayal: forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about deciding whether you want to carry that weight forever or set it down and walk free. I'm not ready to forget this, I said. And I'm not ready to pretend everything's fine. But I am willing to start over. If you're willing to see me, really see me, as your daughter, not as a resource or a disappointment or a threat. My mother nodded through her tears. Victoria stood up and walked over to me slowly. I'm sorry, she said. I was cruel. I said things I didn't mean because I was scared you didn't need us anymore. I've always needed you, I said. I just needed you to need me too. James finally looked up. I'm sorry I took you for granted. I'm sorry I let Dad make you the villain when I was the one who couldn't get my life together. My father put his hand on my shoulder. Can you stay? He asked. Can you stay for dinner? I looked past him into the warm, lit house. I saw the table set with my mother's good china. I saw the empty chair where I used to sit. I can stay, I said. But I'm not sitting in the corner anymore. And I'm not making myself small so everyone else can feel big. Deal, my father said. We walked inside together. My mother reheated the prime rib. Victoria poured champagne. James set an extra place at the table, right next to my father, where honored guests sit. And for the first time in 9 months, I felt like I was home. Not because they'd changed overnight. Not because money fixed everything. But because I'd finally learned that my worth wasn't tied to their approval. And once I knew that, once I really believed it, their approval didn't have the power to destroy me anymore. The weeks after New Year's Eve were strange. My family didn't magically transform into perfect people. My mother still made thoughtless comments sometimes. James still needed money. Victoria still craved attention. But something fundamental had shifted. They asked about my work. They celebrated my wins. They included me in plans. And when they slipped back into old patterns, I called them out. Calmly. Firmly. Without apology. That comment hurt me. I'm not available to fund that. I need you to see me as more than a solution to your problems. And here's the miracle, they listened. Not perfectly. Not always. But enough. Titan Logics exploded in the first quarter. We landed contracts with 3 Fortune 500 companies. My team grew from 8 people to 45. Patricia told me I was on track to hit the billion-dollar net worth mark in 2 years instead of 3. My father asked if he could take me to lunch to hear about it. Not to ask for money. Not to pitch an investment. Just to listen. We sat in a diner in downtown Nashville, and he asked me real questions. How I managed teams. How I handled pressure. How I knew when to push and when to pivot. I'm proud of you, he said at the end. Not because you're successful. Because you're strong. Stronger than I ever gave you credit for. If you made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe. Stories like this need to reach the people who need them most. Here's what I want you to understand if you're watching this and you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice. It's not measured by how much you give or how little you need. It's not measured by whether your family sees you. You are worth seeing. You are worth celebrating. You are worth taking up space. And if the people who are supposed to love you can't see that, sometimes you have to build a life so bright they can't look away. Not to prove anything to them, but to prove it to yourself. I didn't become a millionaire to punish my family. I became a millionaire because I needed to remember that I was capable of building something that mattered. That my voice mattered. That my dreams mattered. And when I finally believed that, when I finally knew my worth down to my bones, everything else fell into place. My family didn't heal because I got rich. They healed because I stopped shrinking. I stopped apologizing for taking up space. I stopped letting them treat me like I was lucky to be included. And when I stood tall, they finally had to look up to see me. It's been 8 months since that New Year's Eve. Titan Logics is on track to close the year at $75 million in revenue. My net worth crossed $100 million last month. The billion-dollar mark isn't a fantasy anymore, it's a timeline. But the numbers aren't what matter. What matters is that I wake up every morning excited about the work I'm doing. I lead a team that respects me. I'm building something that changes industries. And my family? We have dinner once a month. We're honest with each other now. We talk about the hard stuff. We apologize when we mess up. My mother calls just to check in, not to ask for anything, just to hear my voice. Victoria texts me memes. James asked me for business advice last week, not money advice. And my father sent me a card last Tuesday. Inside, he'd written, "I'm sorry I didn't see you when you were standing right in front of me. I see you now." I cried when I read it. Not because it fixed everything, but because it meant he was trying. We're not a perfect family, but we're a real one now. And that's enough. If this story meant something to you, leave a comment telling me what you took away from it. And subscribe, because everyone deserves to know their story matters. If you're watching this and you're the forgotten child, the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who doesn't ask for help, please hear me. You are not invisible. Your silence is not strength, it's survival. And you deserve more than survival. You deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to build a life that makes you proud, whether your family is watching or not. Don't wait for permission to succeed. Don't wait for approval to dream. Don't wait for them to notice you before you decide you're worth noticing. Build your empire. Tell your story. Take up space. And if they can't handle it, that's their loss. Not yours. Thank you for watching my story. Thank you for seeing me. And thank you for seeing yourself. You matter. You always have. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and remember, the people who truly love you will celebrate you rising. And the ones who don't? They were never your people to begin with.